So it is now the middle of August. We are at Voyageur Provincial Park in the Champlain campground in Site 81.
Site 81 is a pretty nice site. It's got a water view, and it is a little slopey, but not more than we can cope with.
It's a fairly open site to the road, but the view makes up for it.
This is a 4-night stay for us here at Voyageur. It's our first time in the park, and it's actually the second stop on a 3-park trip that we're doing this August.
We came here from Fitzroy Provincial Park, which was just a short 2-hour drive away.
And our next stop is Charlotte Lake, about 2.5 hours. The weather's actually been pretty nice. We had a good amount of rain last night, so we've taken the tarp down in advance of the rain. But otherwise, the bugs have been not too bad. Certainly you'd expect them to be pretty good in the middle of August, and I would say they have been just fine.
At this park, they do rent canoes, kayaks, and paddle boards. All of that is arranged down by the day-use beach from the store that's there.
The park store is actually pretty good at this park. We noticed that the one advisory for this park is, sorry, we're not making hamburgers and hot dogs at the park store anymore. They do serve ice cream, and you can get some basic camping supplies, some basic food supplies, emergency birthday cake in the form of Pop-Tarts if necessary. And it's also where you get firewood and ice and all of that sort of thing.
Yeah, they don't have the same kind of nice provincial park things. They seem to gear more towards the young kids' novelty crap, but that's what it is.
We get the impression that this is very much a park where people come for day use the beach and that sort of thing, if they're in the general area.
Beyond the basic groceries at the store, there is the close by town of Hawkesbury, and there are major grocery stores there.
Here in the Champlain campground, there are 2 comfort stations and 1 set of kaibos. So we're kind of towards the middle, and we're in between the 2 sets of comfort stations. The kaibos, we didn't get a good look at them, honestly,
no.
But they looked to be bog standard.
And the comfort station in the center of the campground is the more modern one. It's the one we've been mostly using.
Laundry is available at each of the comfort stations, including the ones in some of the other campgrounds. Shop around when you're doing laundry because the prices seem to vary from one comfort station to the next.
Save yourself a quarter.
So the fill and dump, a little bit unconventional in this park. The dump is 1 lane on the way out, and fill is 1 lane on the way in. I noticed that the fill is not threaded, by the way. Overall, the park roads are pretty decent. There are some fairly terrifying bumps. Some of them are marked with signs, so you've got to be a little bit careful towing.
And actually the main road coming into the park, I think we did scrape out on one of the bumps. So actually our plan in leaving the park is to wait till we've fully exited the park before we put those stabilization bars back on.
Self-service in the park has been pretty good. It's not super fast all the time. You can watch a video here and there, but it will buffer from time to time. Certainly no trouble dealing with calls or emails, anything like that. So in terms of activities, there are 3 trails in the park, and we walked on 2 of them. The first one we went on was the Wawashkashi Trail. I gather that is a newer trail in this park. It is a 2-kilometer loop. It took us a little bit less than an hour to walk. It's interesting insofar as it goes through various kinds of forests. So there's some cedar forest, there's some mixed forest, there are meadows that are just crammed with goldenrod. There's some evidence that this park was not too long ago working farmland, and certainly pioneer farmland. We saw some stones piled up to make walls and some wooden fences of the traditional variety. And just because I have a picture that I'm going to show, I'll mention we saw this really weird maple tree that had kind of a whole great big maple tree growing out of the side of the rest of the maple tree, and there were some gigantic mushrooms in the crotch of all of that, and that was kind of funky.
We actually mentioned it to a couple of the naturalists here, and they knew exactly what tree we were talking about. It was a nice hike, though. even though it was a walk through the forest. Basically, because of the varying terrain, it was very nice.
And also we noticed a fair number of crab apples, and that's more evidence that this area used to be working farm. So maybe when we're talking about some of the other campgrounds, we'll touch more on the apple business.
The other trail we hiked on is the Coureur de Bois. It's a shorter trail, just a kilometer, but we found the beginning of the trail was just lovely. As you get towards the second half of the trail, you're walking through more marshy area and even along grass where a hydro line is running. That was quite buggy, so we enjoyed that less. But the trail was very nice, especially at the beginning.
And those two trails are loops, and they also have another trail called the Outaouais Trail, and that's a linear trail that kind of runs from the camp store around to the Iroquois and Portage campgrounds. We didn't walk that because it's the better part of 3 kilometers linear, and that was more out and back than we wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
As it turns out, we were here on a weekend, and that doesn't happen too often for us. We're usually camping through the week. So we did get to participate in a couple of discovery programs. There were a couple of the naturalists sitting at a table with pictures of butterflies and moths and things like that, and or birds, as the case may be. And we had a nice chat with them, and that was all very pleasant. Nothing like a visitor center in this park.
Now, where we are situated in our campsite should be a very close walk to the beach, but you have to cross a bit of a stream and the bridge is out, and so you have to take the long scenic route. So it's actually about a 10-minute walk to the beach, right, instead of 2. The beach did not inspire me to want to go swimming. There is ample evidence of Canada geese being in the area.
Right. No shortage of cobra chickens and their primary product. So we didn't get to any museums or anything, but they do have one. It's on the far side of Hawkesbury from where we are. The oldest jail in Ontario.
Second oldest in Canada.
Second oldest in Canada. So that will be something to do next time we're in this area.
I would say don't go to Hawkesbury expecting a quaint little Ontario town.
It is across the river, and there's a convenient bridge there from the town of Grenville, Quebec. And Grenville has a nice little canal. It looks like there's a kind of a pretty walk there, and a couple of nice little parks, one of which was closed off mysteriously. So we're not sure what was going on with that. We did manage to pick up some tasty poutine while in the neighborhood at Cheese and Company.
It was Joel's birthday poutine.
I had birthday poutine, and it was delish. So south of the town of Hawkesbury is a little village of Van Cleek Hill, which we went to, and it's a pretty little town. Mm-hmm. Normally we go through a nice little town and they have some big annual fair, and we think, oh, too bad we missed that by a few weeks. But this time it was actually on, and we thought, well, let's check it out. Except that they wanted $30 a person to go and walk around their fall fair.
Which included admission to the rides, which were extensive, but it's not what we wanted to do.
So we missed out, even though we could hear scores of people having a grand time.
CNE-like excitement.
Right. So what we did avail ourselves of in the town of Van Cleek Hill is the Dunrobin Distillers and the Beau's All Natural Brewing. So we stopped in there. They have a wide variety of spirits that they make. We tried a variety of different whiskeys that they make. They have a rye whiskey and a corn whiskey and a wheat whiskey. Sampled all of that, picked up a couple of little things that we will bring home and try out with the fams.
And we didn't try beer at Beau's, but we did pick up a couple to bring home, so we'll see how that goes.
And, if it's the best thing we've ever had, I'll update the video description afterwards. But that may take a while because we've got a big backlog of beers to sample with the kids. Also between Hawkesbury and the park is the town of Chute-Blondeau, and that's a nice little town. Certainly the road, if you follow the road that's right by the river, there's a beautiful scenic route that you can follow the Ottawa River. Lovely to drive that. And if you stop in the town of Chute-Blondeau, you can go to the Cab Cafe.
Yes, the Cab Cafe, and honestly, the service that we received there was above and beyond. If you want to know the details, you can read my Google review of the Cab Cafe. But they were wonderful.
Amazing people, wonderful service.
And delicious.
And delicious.
Nearby to there's also a farmer's market. And we stopped in there. They have quite a extensive variety of fresh fruits and vegetables. They're not all local. They do have bananas, for instance. But
I am sure those are Ottawa Valley bananas. I'm convinced.
They also have a little bit of a flea market sort of place, mostly with used books. I did pick up an Agatha Christie in French. And they have, little knickknacks, teapots, and that sort of thing. But it's a good place to keep in mind because you don't have to drive all the way to Hawkesbury to get fresh fruit and vegetables. There's some place quite close by that's excellent.
Good call. We don't actually have a picture of the deer that crossed the road in front of us, so we're not going to talk about that. We mentioned that we are in the Champlain campground and on Site 81, which is a site that we really quite like. It's got an excellent view of the water. There are sites adjacent to us that also are, have water awareness, not quite the same view that we have here, but they are beautiful sites. One of them has a very challenging obstruction to be wary of, so keep that in mind. And there are also sites on the next row over from us, the next furthest away from the water, which have beautiful forest. And any of those sites would be quite good. We'll put some numbers in the description. Be aware that the privacy, not spectacular on those sites.
I would also mention the site that Joel mentioned with the obstruction, which is just next door to us. We determined that it would be doable for us.
Yeah, absolutely. There are 2 other campgrounds, and we did have a look around at the service sites in those campgrounds. In the Iroquois campground, there are a number of sites that are quite nice. Again, numbers in the description. Be very wary booking sites in Iroquois. There are many sites in Iroquois that are quite small.
We also walked around the Portage campground. Now, these are sites that are mostly extremely private. There are many that keyhole shape. The forest there, however, is extremely dense and bushy, so you get kind of that green wall effect in the campsites. And yet, despite that, the campsites themselves tend to be quite sunny. The other thing to be aware of at Portage is that there are many apple trees there. And at this time of year, they are dropping apples of a good size. You would not want your trailer or tent underneath any of those apples because it would be like hail raining down on your equipment.
Isaac Newton's already done it. No need to repeat. This is a great park, I think, to visit. I'm happy that we've included it in this trip. It's certainly a great spot to hang out if you want to check out things in the Ottawa area, which is about an hour away. Getting over into Grenville and enjoying the scenery and the culinary experiences, very nice. Nice little towns in the area. Very happy to come back to this park. Being aware of the apple hazard.
So there you have it. That was our trip to Voyageur Provincial Park.